Well, thanks all for staying with us here on Sunrise Live on E on this thoughtful Thursday morning as we continue with our conversation. We've got 8,500 people who stand to lose their jobs once retrenchment takes place at the AngloGold. And of course, that is exactly what AngloGold is embarking on. According to the mining company, this is due to restructuring and an effort to turn around performance to improve operations. So now mining unions such as Solidarity as well as NUMA are very unhappy about the latest turn of events, obviously worried about their members and about the fact that their members stand to lose their jobs and propose the dignity. Now, if you do not know where we're looking at in terms of the average mine worker, an average mine worker supports close to 10 family members. So looking at the fact that it's an indication that these retrenchments will not only affect the workers, but the family structure indeed. So to speak to us more about these issues, especially when it comes to the mining sector, we've got mining and labor analyst Mamokgethi Molopyane, as well as the National Union of Mine Workers Deputy President Joseph Mutisetse. Of course, remember, you can be part of our conversation this morning. Remember, the number to dial is 011 447 1742, alternatively 1620. Also, feel free to leave your comments on our Facebook as well as our Twitter pages. Welcome to the both of you. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And perhaps I should start off with you, Mamokgethi. When we're looking at the mining sector currently, 5 years gone, we're looking about the fact that about 70,000 jobs have been shed within the mining industry within the last 5 years. Anglo's decision was not necessarily something that we can say was never preempted, simply because of the way the mining industry is faring. But how do we explain that to people? How do we explain that to people that are relying on the mine as a source of income?
Well, it's going to be difficult, Faith, to explain to people how retrenchments are happening in the mining industry, because you'd remember that for the longest of time, the mining sector has been South Africa's key contributor to GDP. And even though today it no longer is the main contributor, it still contributes about 15% of foreign direct investment into the country. So it's going to be hard, especially when, given the legacy that mining has come to be known for, to say now they can no longer create jobs. But then we always have to balance it, for me, always have to balance it with the global realities. So we are not mining in silo and we are not alone in the mining world. Other countries are also true. And so when the demand decreases or when the demand rises, that of course has an impact on how mining companies performs. But then to an average South African, as you ask, they would ask, but over so many years, mining companies have made lots of money. Why now are they saying they can no longer create jobs? Well, the economic condition globally has changed. The demand for the commodities has changed also. But not that. Some of the key sectors, such as gold in South Africa, it is it's our oldest mining activity, and it's probably dragging hard. By that I mean it's probably on its last days. And so those are some of the factors that are going to affect jobs.
I was actually reading up on that, and even saying about platinum, for example, where platinum used to be at a high demand once, but actually it's on a decline in terms of the demand that it's at right now. So how then do we take that? Because when we're looking at Anglo's decision, Joseph, I'm going to bring you into this conversation. The decision, from what has been articulated, was not based on the mining charter that came out on the 15th of June. It was just purely a business and a strategic decision. How then do you explain it to your members and say, who have to feed? I mean, I was reading there that people have to feed about 10 family members, you know, and that's sometimes at an average, because sometimes it could be more, sometimes it could be less. How then do you start explaining such phenomena to your workers?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. To us, this is a catastrophic decision that was made by the company for our members and their families. I think if one comes straight to the issue of Anglo, the shaft at Val Reefs, which is Kopanang, where most of workers are going to be unemployed, it is contributing 348 kilograms of gold every month to AngloGold Ashanti. But what is happening there is that when that gold is sold, 56 million of cake is allocated to head office of AngloGold Ashanti, of which that allocation of 56 million is going to executives and other people that are sitting there at the head office. There is no problem in mining, in the mining industry in South Africa. The problem is the structures of these companies.
Okay, now you're bringing in a very interesting point, and I want you to expand on that point, because Mamokgethi was speaking about how, look, it's a global phenomenon when we're looking at demand. It's a very simple, basic equation of demand versus supply. You are alternatively saying, no, there's no problem within the mining industry. The problem is that when this gold is collected and the money is made, a portion, significant portion, goes to the head office, whereas the miners get the bottom feed.
Yes, so that is what is happening. The structures here, you have people that comes from America, Australia, and so on. They become CEOs in South Africa. They occupy strategic position. Executives in South African mining industry are highly paid than any country in the world. Even in Australia and America, they are not paid such monies. And then these monies then are been accumulated by these executives. The workers that are toiling underground, they are earning less. And again, as an addition to that thing, they are being retrenched. Kopanang can be run successfully if it can.
I was about to ask you that question. So then, are you saying that Kopanang, or the mining bosses, because I was reading this article by the CEO, are you saying that the mining bosses, with their statements to the media, are actually lying to South Africans?
Yes,
about
they are lying.
They're lying.
They are lying. If Kopanang can be run by a company which actually can cut on the cost of executives and distribute what they get from underground, which is gold, it can be able to sustain those workers.
What do you say to that, Mamokgethi?
Well, historically, they've been proven true. I mean, we've had, we continue to have some of the highest paid executives in the world in the mining industry. But not only that, it comes across as if from various executives that they do not care in terms of the wage disparities between themselves and the low-earning workers. And there lies in the challenge. You'd recall a couple of years ago, a CEO of a mining company said, when there was a strike, I'm not the one on strike. I'm not the one not working to be paid for this. So that disparity, that disconnection, that the lived reality of the mine workers cannot be perceived as important by the executive, speaks to a broader social crisis within the mining industry, where it has always perceived the worker as a secondary thought, or fourth or fifth in the manner in which they structure their payment, but also in the manner in which they compensate them for the labor that they do. So there's always going to be friction. And it's not surprising that the NUM and unions within the mining industry feel aggrieved by this. And even though the company is saying this is not prompted by the mining charter, but it's neither here nor there, because it happens immediately after the mining charter was released.
I want us to speak and expand further on the mining charter. I want to get your views as well on that, because you say clearly saying that, you know what, the mining bosses are lying. This mine could be run effectively, and the problems are not actually that vast as much as it's the management of the resources that are vast. This is a realistic perspective of what South Africans are feeling aggrieved at this stage. So then what could have been the possible alternative to the job cuts, or the proposed job cuts of 8,500, in your opinion, Joseph? What was the alternative to the situation?
No, the alternative is that these people are not starting to do these things. They have been doing them. They closed the mines there. They gave them to African Rainbow Mineral. It closed them. They gave to Harmony. We have a new company which comes from China, which is called the African Chinese Precious Metal, which has opened number 6 and 7 of Val Reefs. It's going to take 5 mines actually. Its structure, it's a flat structure, like I'm telling you, that then they are not going to have executives and so on, and they are saying the mine is going to be viable. The alternative is to change the structure of the mine in South Africa, that we must actually have a flat structure. We concentrate on people that are working underground. We don't have a lot of chief bosses. We don't have a lot of mine section managers. We have section managers. We have general managers. You have.
So in other words, from what I'm understanding from this conversation, because I also want us to go to Facebook, but from what I'm understanding from you is that make the miner feel as though they are a part of it. In other words, they're not second-rate citizens doing the job for you so that you can become wealthy. treat them as if you would like to be treated because they contribute to it. And we're going to continue on that. We're going to expand on that. I just want us to read some of the comments that are on Facebook. And of course, the question that we posed was that, do you think it's fair that we say that mining companies don't necessarily care about the workers? And some of the comments, I'm going to just read out one, and then I'm going to take your comment as well, James. I know that you're on the line there. Isaac, so for example, saying that, look, when we're looking at regards to assisting mine workers from the 1970s and being retrenched to the 1980s, why are they not getting compensation such as pension fund, blue cards? These miners are told that there was no money for pension funds being deducted for them, etc., etc. So again, as you would say, Joseph, speaking to the opportunities. And it speaks to the issue around flat structure that you were talking about. What do you believe about this mining charter? I mean, James mentioned an interesting point, bringing this mining charter that was proposed as well as on the 15th of June. Do you think that this could possibly be another alternative or adding to the solution in terms of the mining industry?
Well, this is the third iteration of the mining charter, you'd recall. Secondly, it was meant to be an easy way into changing and transforming the mining sector. But given the reaction that it has received from key stakeholders in the mining industry, namely the Chamber of Mines, and the reaction to it, one doesn't see it being implemented because it's going to be bogged down in courts and being challenged, as the Chamber
of Mines already has said it.
Has made indication that they would challenge it. And in so doing, because it would be challenged in the court, it won't be implemented. So again, the mining industry, from a policy perspective...
When you say, Mamokgethi, just to get you correct here, because it will be challenged in court, it won't be implemented. Are you saying that the likelihood of this mining charter being challenged and the proposal in itself being overruled is actually quite high?
Yes, and also, but you have to remember that while I do not see the court saying, while we are debating, because one of the issues that the chamber is raising is the legality of the charter. While they are being taken to court about it, I do not see a judge saying, in the meantime, while we are debating it and threshing it out here in court, in the meantime, implement it. So it's going to be stopped. I do not see it being implemented, because you cannot implement something that's been challenged through the courts and the legality and the functionality thereof being challenged. And there lies in the problem that our policymakers, in trying to sort out or implement transformation in the mining industry, the manner in which policy has unfolded, there's nothing wrong with 70% executives that is proposed in the mining charter being black and being women. There is nothing wrong with communities getting percentage of any. There's nothing wrong with the previously blacks who experienced mining differently now becoming new mining owners.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. But the manner in which it was drafted, the tone in which it was written, has opened them up for challenge in the courts. And because of that, it is going, for me, in my view, it's going to undo the work that had been done by the previous charter, the little work that had been done by the previous charter. But over and above, it is going to stall transformation while it's going through courts.
So then, in 30 seconds there, Joseph, so where to from here? You've got the proposal shared of the 8,500 jobs. What are you guys going to be doing from here on?
Well, there was a council yesterday which sat in Carltonville of the National Union of Mine Workers, which has taken decision that we are going to meet with the company today in DMR, 10 o'clock in Pretoria.
Okay.
But our position is that we are going to have a march against the company. Possibly it will lead to a national strike that will affect the gold mines. And again, our position is that we are not accepting this thing of Section 197, where you will say workers will be transferred to another company, and 3 weeks later, that company is liquidating, and workers' dues are then gone. We're saying whatever is going to happen, workers must be paid full of their amount, and the government must intervene in making sure that those workers' jobs are going to be protected. In what way? There are a lot of companies that are coming from China that want,
as you said, and you've proposed
as
that
I've
they've
said,
got
yeah,
flat structure.